The recipes for this show and the complete series of Great Tastes are available on the GreatTastesMB.ca website. And one recipe from today's show will be in the classified section of the Winnipeg Free Press.
Welcome back to Great Tastes of Manitoba. We're here tonight with Manitoba Canola Growers and Pruden. We're on to our blueberry hand pies. One of our camera guys, Nate, because we've got some pre-done here, he was like, you better be making a lot of these. So we have our marching order, so let's get started. First things first, we've got obviously some flour that we're using here. Shout out, we've got Manitoba wheat growers, Manitoba barley growers. Mwah. Appreciate. We've got some beautiful flour here that we're working with.
And we grow some of the best wheat in the world, right? So this is so wonderful. So we're starting off with that. This is a no-fail pie dough pastry recipe.
No fail.
No fail. We're adding in our baking powder. I'm gonna give that a little swirl. Okay. And we have our salt that goes in. So of course, all the recipes you can find on Great Taste. Now we have our frozen canola oil.
What's going on?
Great question.
Did you accidentally leave it in the freezer?
No. Well, no, but that's
no.
why I pre-made, because you know, like who makes pie anymore? And this, again, it's a no-fail, but part of the secret is freezing the oil. So it looks like this kind of very congealy type thing,
right.
But it starts to melt very quickly.
Okay.
We want it to act like a fruit, like a solid fat. So we're using canola oil, but it can act like a solid fat, and that's what gives us this no-fail, beautiful pie dough recipe to go in. So we're gonna add that in, and it's gonna kind of come in like a little, well, we're gently, and I've cut it into like little pieces. Yeah. Again, you can make this recipe in a food processor or by hand, and it's just gonna blend nicely together. Ooh. Okay, so it's gonna start to come together, and really you want that oil to be coating all the little bits of the flour. Now we have an egg, cold water, and vinegar that gets poured in.
So Countryside Farms Vita eggs, yet again.
Beautiful.
Now, is it like when I think about making pie dough, 'cause believe it or not, I've actually done this a couple of times, but it's like you almost want to have some of that, the oil, like the chunks in there, or it's like you don't want it completely
pea-sized, like just tiny little smoothness.
Yeah.
And then we've, for making hand pie, we've made pie on Great Taste before, we've made a galette. This is kind of like the next thing that you can make with this. So it's a little bit finicky, but it's worth the effort to go through it. So you have a super simple pie pastry recipe. We're gonna roll it out into a rectangular shape because we wanna make even tops and bottoms. It's not a turnover. We're not making like a blueberry pierogi or something like that.
Okay, so it's two separate pieces of dough, top and bottom.
Right.
Okay.
So you wanna have them cut essentially like the same size or trim it. You can have it be any size that you want. And I love blueberries. You know, we have so many wonderful local delicious blueberries on available for us. And so the recipe for our blueberry sauce, frozen blueberries, handpicked or bought, and then a little bit of sugar, some lemon juice and lemon zest, and a little cornstarch brings it together.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the trick. So we have our top, we have our bottom, and while you're working, you know, I would start cutting and then put some in the fridge so it continues to stay cold, because that's really the key piece for what's going on. We're going to, do you think they're the same size? Oh yeah, not bad, right?
For me to criticize the size of the hand pie dough.
Don't overfill. This is the #1 thing. You do not want to overfill.
So a little like pierogies in that regard, because you don't want to overfill.
Anything, any type of dumpling, right? Like it's not about how much filling you put in. Just that little bit. It's probably like a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half.
You'd be tempted. If you ever make anything like this with kids, it's just like they fill it like full, and then it's coming out the sides.
And then it's coming out the sides. You do need to vent it, so you can take scissors or a knife.
See, that's kind of a cool, I would never have thought of that.
And then press down on your side.
So that's how you close it up with the fork?
That's how you close it up with a fork. You can, you know, pinch it, but I like the fork method because it looks really nice and it brings it all together. And then you need to do a wash on it. So I'm gonna put it on the baking sheet. We have an egg wash, so egg, a little bit of water. You could do a little bit of milk and then give that a wash.
Okay.
I'll do one more. So it's super fun, really easy. You can do this with anyone. You know how I love to have people in my kitchen cooking. And this is something that takes a couple hands and a little bit of assembly, and you can make this happen.
Have some fun. And
it only takes, you know, about 15 minutes to bake in the oven.
Oh, is that it?
That's it.
Oh, awesome.
So why not make it, freeze your oil. You know, you can see that it's starting to get a little, like it's becoming unfrozen, right?
So you've actually, that's what that is, like you've actually partitioned off the amount that you would need for...
2/3 of a cup, that's all that you need.
Okay.
And there we go. Pinch another one.
I'm sort of thinking like Saturday morning, you get up, you have a cup of coffee, you can, you know, rip these off real quick.
So I have a little filling coming out on the side. That's okay. We're just going to stuff it back in.
Just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then make sure that you
yeah.
do a really good vent. You have to have a vent, otherwise
I want to do one more with the egg wash.
Please do, and I'll keep making.
Okay.
We need them for Nathan.
That's right. Yeah, got to get on that. Okay, so there we go. 15 minutes at what temperature
425.
again? 425, and you are enjoying blueberry hand pies. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Now, very curious to see what is Erin Allblass going to do. We've got 3 very different recipes here tonight. So blueberry hand pies, this is what we've got. We're going to come back with our beverage pairings here on Great Tastes of Manitoba. Don't go away.
You're watching Great Tastes of Manitoba, brought to you in part by the Government of Canada and Manitoba Agriculture through the Canadian Agricultural Partnership.